Welcome to part 24 of Free Will Summer, where today we are watching In a Violent Nature. And I think the premise is pretty cool. It's basically like a Friday the 13th movie, except it follows the killer. I think this will be pretty cool, but I'm kind of afraid that it might be boring. I have heard that it's a lot of him walking around. I don't know, but I'm just expecting, some fun kills and a different take on the slasher. And maybe later in the year I can give you a proper review of the sequel. Who knows? So let's hit play on In a Violent Nature. That was great, but I don't know how I feel about the ending. Actually, you know what? I take it back. That was actually really good. Yeah, In a Violent Nature is ridiculously good. And I want to see Johnny kill more people, die, resurrect, fight an X-Men, take Manhattan, go to hell, and then to space. I don't know if the ending was the best thing they could have done. I don't know if it really fits with the rest of the movie, and I will go into spoilers. But there's only really one scene that I kind of wish wasn't in the movie, and I would cut if I was editing it. So yeah, this goes all out with the premise. So it's that it follows the killer and literally follows the killer because most of this movie is just that. You're watching him walk around, stalk his prey with like no music. And I think that's why some people hate this movie. It's really not for everyone, and if you liked it, I'm happy for you, and if you don't, well, I can't really blame you because inherently the premise isn't gonna be for everyone. Some people would call this boring. I thought I was gonna think this was boring, but I just like seeing a different slasher from the perspective of the killer. There's some absolutely beautiful shots in this movie. Like, part of it looks like it was actually filmed in the 80s. You can see, like, the film grain. But also, just the beautiful shots in this movie. The colors, just the sounds of nature accompanying, Johnny walking through nature. At times, it's like a relaxing nature video with excessively gruesome murders. And yeah, that is the part that I think would be most horror fans' favorite part of the movie, other than, the switch up in the formula. The kills in this movie are great. I think there's a couple that are off screen. Well, not I think there's a couple. There are a couple that are off screen, but we usually see the aftermath as well as the sound and, some. It's the implication of it that makes it all the more brutal. Speaking of being all the more brutal, the actual kills they do show on screen, jeesh. Jeesh. That is a real thing I just said. But the gore in this movie is, like, next level. This Johnny guy is a big fan of head trauma. But each of his kills are memorable in this movie. I'm just a big fan of having a new, original, not horror icon. He is not up there with big Mikey Myers. He's not Freddy status. But I think with another movie, because that's announced, it's coming out, I think, this year. I think he could get a little bit more deserved recognition and, maybe reach the status of not a huge icon, maybe. And although Art the Clown is kind of soaring in popularity in the recent years, I think he still fits this. I mean, Art the Clown, Victor Crowley, the miner from My Bloody Valentine, that status where he's not Michael Myers, he's not Jason, he's not Freddy, but you know, Maybe if you show a random person on the street, hey, who's this? They might not know, but if you ask a horror fan, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's Johnny. Before I get into spoilers, I'll just wrap up for people who haven't seen the movie, even though it's 2 years old. Really good kills. A actually pretty nice moment of dark comedy. It's not, very much in the movie. I can only really think of one moment, but it was good. Might be a little slow for some people with all the watching him walk. The ending might not be for everyone. I had to think about it to decide if I liked it or not. But a fun switch up on the genre that I really enjoyed. And who knows, I think it's worth a watch. And see if you do too. Spoiler time. I ain't never doing yoga next to a cliff again. Yeah, those kills are insane. Like I said, Johnny loves head trauma. There's that dude in the opening. We don't know what happened to him, but Johnny's hands were covered in blood because they were reaching towards his face, and then we saw a little bit of his blurred face, and he had, no face. Cut that dude's head in half, Glasgow Smile style, or the rock to the face. There's the guy who got beheaded, and the guy who got the axe to the face. And, of course, how could we forget Yoga Girl? There's the axe to the back and the drowning kill as well, but those are less interesting because they're not really on screen. But the yoga kill, the one everybody talks about, you just have to see it for yourself. The dude who got the axe down the middle of his face, I keep saying face a lot in this video, but he likes face trauma. Why did he keep hitting him with the axe 100 times? Google sums it up best here. Johnny hacks at the character Colt with an axe at least 90 to 115 times in a violent nature. The first blow instantly kills him, but Johnny continues hitting and smashing the face and head for several uninterrupted minutes. There was several minutes of this movie uninterrupted that you just hear. That was straight up not necessary. The inclusion to have no music I thought was actually cool. If they had a score in this movie, I think it would have subtracted from it, and it's honestly better with just listening to the leaves rustling, the birds, and the wind as the score or soundtrack of the movie. It does feel like a little bit too much walking at times, but other than that, I really enjoyed the movie, but I do want to talk about the two things that I was a bit mixed to negative on. So the mixed thing is the ending, the very end after, I don't know if you consider it Johnny being defeated, or if he wins, I don't know what you consider it. But the final girl that we don't really know, gets away from Johnny, gives him back the necklace, while he keeps. But she gets away, and she's picked up by a woman in a car, and you're like, oh, you see the car, okay, this movie's gonna end now. But she's getting in the car, okay, it's showing that, okay, this movie, it's gonna end now. It's gonna end now, right? And then it doesn't. I can see where it was going, but I can also see why it didn't work for a lot of people. While it was happening, I borderline hated it, but I think it's kind of smart. So the final girl gets in this woman's car, and she's like, yo, what happened? And she starts telling a story about her brother getting attacked by a bear, and, why the bear did that, and it's because it's a bear. There's no sense to it. There's no logic to it. It's just a nonsensical act of violence with no logic or motive behind it. Which is kind of obvious commentary about attacks like this in the real world. It makes perfect sense. But why did you spend 20 minutes doing it? Then you kind of get the other part of it, where it's a subversion of the one last scare trope, where after the villain is defeated, The final girl is safe, and then there's one last scare before the credits roll. And there's, like, perfect shots that set up the one last scare, but it doesn't. And it kind of leaves you with the paranoia that her and other final girls in other horror movies feel. You're waiting for something else to pop out, because that's what the whole experience has been. So it makes sense, and it's really the only way they could have done it. They had to make it feel a little tedious for it to work. But my problem with it is I don't know if it fully ties in with this movie, if it really works, because that's not what the rest of the movie is about. So it's good, but it just kind of feels like something that they included because they knew it would be cool, regardless of whether it feels like an organic closure to the story. But you get the final shot, which implies that she's safe, where the necklace is gone from where she left it, implying Johnny picked it up and he's done. Going to take a nap until the sequel. But there was one scene that a lot of people talk about when talking about this movie, and it's really the only part of the movie I really don't like. Even the ending, it's supposed to feel a little bit tedious and monotonous on purpose. This feels like it's distracting from the main focus of the movie, which is Johnny, and it's an absolutely pointless scene. So, you might know already, it's the scene where the teens are explaining, Johnny's backstory, and it just keeps, rotating around them. What if I just record the rest of the review like this? Because that's what it was like. It was just, going around the circle of people. And I get what they're going for, that's Johnny stalking his prey, but, the way it was shot, but also, the scene is entirely pointless. We could have put together his origin on our own. We didn't need them to explain why he's a monster and why he kills. I think it would have been better if it was left implied. But it does introduce the teens and, a bunch of characters you want to see die. They're all very annoying, which I guess justifies how horribly they die. Moral of the story, don't mess with nature. And, another thing about the ending, it ties in with the title to have a nice double entendre, but also the nature itself is violent. I guess you could say these teens are in a violent nature. Now, I thought this was a good Halloween-themed movie. Did this make you want to scream? Because it made me want to scream, too. The opening scene was intense, but that scene with the saw, that was the real Terrifier. And don't even get me started on Johnny's hatchet. Yeah, that's it for my review of In a Violent Nature. So here's the movie ranking, and yeah. Here's the movie ranking, and the daily reminder to hate these bottom two movies. It Chapter 2, Event Horizon, The First Evil Dead, Mothman Prophecies, Hoppers, 13 Ghosts, Ready or Not 2, which I'm sorry, I just have a lot of fun with, Evil Dead 2, Child's Play, Saw 3, They Will Kill You, It, Predator Badlands, Evil Dead Rise, Saw 2, In a Violent Nature, Army of Darkness, but that's close, then Saw X, Evil Dead Remake, Ballerina, How to Make a Killing, and Hereditary. So that's it. Bye.